Hi, I'm Taylor with Mom on the Spectrum, and today we're going to talk about how to make friends if you've never had one. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. My goal is to connect autistic adults through community, and I do that through different classes and groups that I run throughout the month. You can check out my current offerings through the link in the description. Also in the description, you'll find a link to my totally free ultimate guide to understanding autism. It's the top 40 terms to understand as a late diagnosed autistic adult that will help you better understand life on the spectrum after years of feeling invalidated, lost, broken, you name it. So make sure to check that out. It's yours for free. So let's jump into this topic of how to make friends. So first of all, I want to clarify a few things. This information isn't for everybody. You are your own best guide. If the information that I share here hits you the wrong way, maybe it's not for you. That's okay. There's also a couple of other reasons why this information might not be for you right now. So as an autistic adult, we spend a lot of time in fight or flight or in a hypervigilant state. And if you find yourself resistant to this information or kind of getting upset or easily angered, it could be possible that you're a little dysregulated. It might be worthwhile to take some time to rest and take care of yourself before trying to start something new or change something about your life, right? So a lot of times we need to approach change from a well-regulated place, and that's not always where we tend to be as an autistic adult. I have some other videos on the channel that can help you with emotional regulation, but for today, if you find yourself in that reactive, hypervigilant state, give yourself so much grace, err on the side of rest, and also understand that this topic might bring up some intense feelings for you. So many of us on the spectrum have been invalidated. We have felt like we've been outsiders, like maybe we haven't even really had a friend and we don't even know what that feels like. So there could be some really intense emotions under the surface that we haven't quite fully processed yet. Maybe hurt or anger or pain or suffering or injustice that we have experienced at the hands of others through relationships. It's important to honor that pain, to honor that hurt, and to create a safe space to express that before moving into the next stage of trying to create another relationship or friendship. So if you find yourself sitting with an uncomfortable amount of pain or invalidation from previous relationships, please take some time to honor that, one way that you can move through that is sitting, creating space to actually feel what you're feeling, which I know can be scary, doing your best to name what you're feeling, and I can share some resources in the description that can help with identifying emotions. We tend to struggle with something called alexithymia. I always bring up so many topics in my videos. I'm like, I'm going to keep it short and concise, but you know our autistic brains, they're always connecting all this information. So when dealing with uncomfortable emotions, it's important that we process them and feel them in order for them to move through our body and leave us alone, honestly. There's all kinds of cool studies coming out now about the effects of the emotions in our bodies and how they have to be experienced and expressed in order to move through, in order to not get stuck and lodged and cause more problems down the road. So creating space to feel these uncomfortable emotions, which might be best done with the help of a therapist so that you can have that extra support. Finding ways to name what you're feeling, sitting with that discomfort, breathing through it, and being kind and gentle with yourself. Now, I know that sounds a little woo, but I think the more we learn about emotions and emotional regulation, I think the more we're all going to be talking about how important it is to do these types of things for our overall health and well-being. So, if you have worked through these prior steps and you feel like you are open to this information, here's what I want to talk with you about today. Number one, I think the number one most important thing for developing friendships as an autistic adult is cultivating your sense of self. Hear me out. I know some of you are not going to like that answer. Okay, hear me out. Masking is a significant challenge for those of us on the spectrum because we spend a lot of our lives trying to figure out what's being asked of us, how we're supposed to act, what's our face supposed to be doing, what am I supposed to say in response to this person? And we spend so much time focusing on other people's experiences that we downplay our own. And many of us have talked about this feeling of being an alien in our own body. We don't know what we want. We don't know what we need. And it's really hard for other people to connect to that because a lot of times we've lost that sense of self that helps other people feel like they have something to anchor onto in our life. If we feel like an alien in our body, think about the message that's sending to the person across from us who might be trying to make a connection with us. We might not even feel comfortable enough to give off an energy that says, hey, talk to me. He's shaking my camera, I'm sorry. We might not be giving off an energy that says, hey, talk to me, I'm open to creating something new in my life, right? We might be coming from this more shut down state of like, I'm not sure who I am, I'm looking to you to tell me who I am. And that's a really intimidating place for others to come from to create a relationship, right? In order to have a healthy relationship, it requires two separate people, two separate entities bringing themselves together for the connection. And so hear me out. It's very important for us to, first of all, cultivate a deep, rich sense of self. This is an invitation to really enhance your life, to really grow as a person, and to really open up your experiences and figure out, what do you actually want and need out of this life? Maybe some of you have never asked that before. But these types of explorations of the self, they bring this renewed energy and life and vitality to you as a person. And it's, when you're around people who feel that way, it's contagious, and you want to be around those people who feel good and who look like they're full of life and enjoying themselves. Now, this is not about toxic positivity. We're not going to force anything. Many of us have been through trauma, and we need to take that seriously and give ourselves time and space to process that. I'm not talking about faking it, but I am talking about focusing on things that bring us a greater sense of joy. So what you focus on, you create more of, right? And if you're focusing on, oh, I don't have any friends, I've never had any friends, I'm never going to have any friends, you're putting all of that energy out around you. It's like, who is it? Linus and Charlie Brown that's always carrying around the blanket. And it's just like, ugh, there's just like this aura around him. We've got to work on clearing that energy. Okay. I know that sounds woo, but there's something to it. Again, think about the people that you've seen that have this contagious, positive energy, or maybe not even, it doesn't have to be like this bubbly, outgoing person, but just a calm, safe person who seems like they're confident in themselves, right? So I'm going to give you 3 strategies for building your sense of self. The first one is simple little homework assignment you can do. Just list off, look at his face. Oh my gosh, y'all, it's not even, I'm getting a little distracted. I'm sorry. It's not even that cold here in Texas. It's like 50 degrees. When it gets below 70, he lives in my lap. He is so cold all the time. He can't even stand it. So if his purring shows up on the video, it's his fault because he's just such a little cuddle bug. Okay. So the first exercise that you can do is just writing a list of 10 things that you appreciate about yourself. That might be hard for some of us. You can start small and definitely don't fake anything. Like, don't write something down that you don't believe. So maybe today you can only list 2 or 3 things. That's okay. That's a great start. But just set a timer. Some of us like timers, for 3 minutes, and write down 10 things that you at least appreciate or respect about yourself, if not love about yourself. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is to use self-affirming mantras. So a lot of us are dealing with shame, and especially cultivating a sense of self. Those 2 things kind of go hand in hand sometimes. If we're coming from a background of shame, it can be difficult to transition into feeling like we're worthy of being and showing up and taking up space in the world, right? So it can be helpful to replace the negative self-talk that maybe we're used to of, oh, I'm worthless, or I don't deserve friends, or maybe I'm too annoying, or I'm too much. We've been told we're too sensitive, or whatever. Cultivating awareness around when we're having that inner negative talk. Hey, okay, right now I'm not being nice to myself. I'm going to replace that thought with a positive mantra. Okay, and I used to not really believe in mantras. I thought, I was like, my brain just doesn't believe that, right? But the trick for using mantras is you have to use a mantra that you actually believe about yourself, okay? So some of my favorite to use would be, I am whole, I am worthy, my experiences matter, I'm a good friend, I attract beautiful things into my life. Anything positive that you can say that helps you feel better about who you are, keep it simple, keep it believable, and just repeat that in your head whenever you're dealing with those bouts of negative self-talk and shame. I promise that practice gets easier over time. And especially if you're leaning into a believable mantra, the next time you experience it, maybe your mantra can be a little bit more powerful, right? Maybe you start to believe a little bit better things about yourself, and gradually expanding that practice to where you believe greater and greater things about who you are and what you're deserving of. It's easy to just do a Google search and type in like self-affirming mantras if you want even more options there. And then the third thing that you can do to cultivate your sense of self is to spend more time doing things that you love. I've spoken with many of you, and some of us don't even know what we love because we've masked so much that we don't know who we are. So if this is you, use your body as your guide. If you're doing something and it brings you joy, it makes you feel awake, it makes you feel alive, it makes you feel energized, follow your energy. Maybe this is something that's adding value and adding a feeling of fullness to your life. If you're doing something and it's draining your energy and taking away from what you have to give, that's probably not something that's filling you up, right? So experiment here. There's all different types of activities you can do. You could just get quiet. This is important too. When was the last time you were actually quiet and asked yourself a question and let yourself respond? Okay, get quiet. Ask yourself, what sounds enjoyable to do right now? And then just let there be silence. Maybe have a journal and write down a couple things that come to mind and try it out. After you try it out, it's just information. Like if it went well, great. If it didn't go well, okay, it's just information and you can use that to change what you choose to spend your time on next time. Okay, so those are 3 simple things that you can do to start cultivating your sense of self. And I think you'll find the more time you spend doing this, the more positive, beautiful things start coming into your life. Again, what you focus on, you create more of. So consciously changing your focus, changing what you say you want in your life and what you're deserving of, it's going to elevate and lift your energy. And you're going to become one of those people when you're out, at the grocery store or whatever, you're going to start having this aura about you that's more inviting, right? Maybe you look up more often because you're feeling a little bit more confident in the spaces where you are, and it's more inviting for other people to actually approach you. You never know how these things are going to affect your life, but watch how focusing on positive energy and cultivating positive energy, watch how it transforms your life and the interactions that you have in your life. The second really important part of all of this is putting yourself out there. Okay, so we talked about cultivating your sense of self. The second part has to be putting yourself out there. I don't have an easy workaround for you. I don't. I'm sorry. I wish that I could say like, here's the perfect autistic community group for you. You're going to fit in and everything's going to be great. That's not how it works, unfortunately. I do have some classes and groups that you might really like, but it's not a one size fits all. So part of cultivating relationships is putting yourself out there. We need to talk about rejection sensitive dysphoria. I never remember rejection sensitivity dysphoria, RSD. That's something that we experience a lot in our autistic community, is this feeling of just taking rejection so personally, right? It can be really, really hard to come back from any type of rejection. So if that's something you struggle with, learn more about RSD and strategies, coping skills for managing RSD. That can be really helpful in putting yourself back out there. And just remember, if you are rejected by somebody that you want to have a friendship with, you don't really want that kind of energy in your life, right? So not all rejections are a bad thing. Like I've met plenty of people where they were fine and I liked them just fine, but I didn't really want to spend any more time with them in my life, right? And so it wasn't anything personal. It was just our energies didn't really match up and didn't really vibe. So think about it as kind of making space for the people that really deserve to be in your life. I've honestly, going through divorce, I've lost a lot of friends, but it's helped me see that the people in my life are my ride or dies. Do you know what that phrase is? I know sometimes idioms don't make sense to our community. They're the people that would be there with me to the end of the world, and I know that to my core. So just a reminder that quality is way better than quantity. So 1 or 2 friends in your life, like awesome. And those friendships take time to cultivate. And unfortunately, there's no way around putting yourself out there in order to find and discover and cultivate these relationships. One thing that I'll go back and add to doing more of what makes you happy and makes you feel alive, special interests are a really good thing to pay attention to for the autistic community. So spend more time pursuing your special interests. In this day and age, there's really just so many opportunities to connect with other people who have your same special interest. So just Google, online group for coding, online group for robot building, online group for gardening, I live in Fort Worth, DFW gardening groups, whatever it is, Google it and see if there's a way for you to connect through an online group or through an actual, if you're ready for it, meet in person group. And then, just see, choose your own adventure, see where it takes you. And everything that happens is just information that you can use to make your next decision. Okay. So don't forget, you're a beautiful person. You are worthy of beautiful friendship experiences. It takes time. And if you're a late diagnosed autistic adult like me, you're kind of coming into a new version of yourself. So it makes sense that you're almost having to kind of relearn how to be a friend, how to make friends. Give yourself grace and patience. You're so worthy of great friendships. Stay the course. Okay. If you're looking for more resources, you can click here. Let's see if this will work, for a video that I did with Claire from Woodshed Theory over friendship. And then I'll put more relationship resource videos. I'll put another relationship resource video here. And then if you haven't already subscribed, click this little circle button right here to make sure that you stay up to date with all the latest videos from Mom on the Spectrum. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.